In the headlines, Kaduna State Government imposed 24-hour curfew in Jama'a and Kaura local government areas following bandits attacks that left 15 people dead, many injured. Kano abducted children reunited with parents. Court sacks 20 Cross River lawmakers for defecting to All Progressives Congress. And on the foreign scene, 2 men die waiting in queue for fuel in Sri Lanka amid widespread fuel shortages and skyrocketing price. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Let's start with security. Bandits invade Agban Kogoro in the Kaura local government area of Kaduna State. An eyewitness, Richard Garba, told Trust TV News that the terrorists came in large numbers, shooting sporadically and killing 19 people, including 2 military officers who responded to distress calls of the community. He said many houses were burnt and valuables worth millions of naira were destroyed. Those who sustained injuries are taken to the hospital for treatment. Youth from the affected community on Monday resorted to roadblocks, stopping and searching vehicles that are plying the road. The eyewitness said police, in the process of dismantling the roadblocks by the youth, shot a taxi driver, a resident of Katsit in Zangwankataf local government area, a border community with Kafanchan town in Jama'a local government area. This triggered protests by the youths to the Kafanchan Police Area Command, demanding for justice. The protest later turned to violence in the area, but security operatives were quick to restore law and order. Meanwhile, Kaduna State Government has declared 24-hour curfew in Jama'a and Kaura local government area of the state to have absolute control of the situation. Bandits have killed at least 24 people, including the village head and 3 other traditional title holders on Sunday when they attacked Ganar Kiawa, a village in Bukuyum local government area of Zamfara State. A youth leader in Bukuyum local government area, Abubakar Gero, confirmed the attack. He said the attack is long feared as residents of the community, especially for the men who had been sleeping in the bush and other safer communities in horror of the bandits. Reports say bandits from the Gando forest in Bukuyum and Anka local government areas have been attacking residents since January. Attacks on several villages in the 2 areas early this year left 200 people dead. While in February, the terrorists collected 12 million naira from residents of Ghana and Nasarawa Burkulu before releasing 26 people abducted earlier. Bandits have been attacking rural communities, kidnapping people for ransom, and rustling cattle for many years in the northwest states of Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna, Niger, and Kebbi. In a related development, some schools in Owerri Metropolis on Monday ended school session and were forced their students to return home over the alleged threat to attack them by gunmen. Reports say in some locations, especially in Owerri, the state capital, parents were seen anxiously taking their children home. According to reports, some of the school proprietors said they had to shut down their schools because of a letter that went viral on social media linked to gunmen, warning that there would no longer be movement and schools will shut down on every Monday of the week in the southeast. 4 Kano children kidnapped and taken elsewhere have been reunited with their parents. The children were found in Lagos State after discreet investigations by National Agency for the Prohibition of Traffic in Persons, NAPTIP. The children were found in Lagos State after discreet investigations. Handing over the children to their parents, Secretary to the state government, Usman Alhaji, said the state government will continue to do its best in ensuring that all children are protected.
This kind of criminality of kidnapping is also at its lowest level in Kano, but it has happened, here and there, and this is something sometimes that we may not be able to completely prevent it as a government alone. Everybody must come on board. Everybody must work. The parents in particular and all the neighborhood must work together to ensure that this kind of kidnapping is not to occur. However, I know in the past, not quite too long ago, there were a lot of outcry from parents who claim or who said the government has not done much to recover their children. And I'm happy the chairman of the implementation committee, Justice Wadarano, a renowned jurist, as well as someone who has sacrificed all his life to the service of our state and the country in general, has told us exactly what happened. Government of Kano State had never given up on any missing child.
Still on security, Zamfara state government says it has employed about 4,200 community protection guards to tackle cases of kidnapping, banditry and other crimes in the state. Information Commissioner Ibrahim Dosara and his Internal Security and Home Affairs counterpart, Mamman Safi, in a press conference in Kaduna on the security situation of the state, says the move is aimed at curtailing security challenges bedeviling the state. Fatima Saleh Ladan has more.
The commissioner says the community protection guards comprised of ex-servicemen, volunteer men and other patriotic citizens in Zamfara state to complement the effort of security operatives for confronting these bandits in their enclave with a view to curtailing the menace.
The government also recruited 4,200 community protection guards, CPG, comprising of our ex-servicemen, volunteer, able-bodied men, and other patriotic citizens with Zamfara State at their heart to support the security operatives to confront these bandits in their enclaves with a view to curtailing the unhealthy situation. It may interest you, the members of the pen profession, to note that these 4,200 CPGs have already commenced the basic training and are now collaborating with our security operatives in chasing the bandits.
The Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mamman Ibrahim Safi, says though the initial dialogue with the bandits yielded relative peace, as majority of them succumbed to the peace process, but the few ones refused to lay their arms and are still attacking innocent citizens in the state. He says that government is on top of the situation.
You could remember the concept, the Dr. Bello Muhammad Matolle's concept of Zaruga in the various senatorial districts, because the rehabilitation in this case is for both. Those who accepted our sulhu and they joined us, they had the difficulty in remaining in the very dark terrain. And then those who suffered from the activities of bandits. It is going on so that they will be fully integrated. I give you a situation where very recently a bandit on his own came to me to say that he is tired of that living in the bush. And let me tell you, he surrendered his weapon to me. I don't know whether he has taken me alone, not to talk that he went to His Excellency, which will reflect some pecuniary intentions. Abi, if he had gone straight with his weapons to His Excellency, maybe he will be thinking he will be instantly rewarded with some. He just came to me as a person who felt within him something divine came to him, that his living is not a human living.
The commissioners expressed hope that the state will regain back its lost glory as one of the most peaceful states in the country. Fatima Saleh Ladan, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Emir of Kefi, Shehu Musa, and Etsu Karu, Luka Panyababa, say peace between farmers and herders is imperative for sustainable development of their domains. The traditional rulers said this when a team of peace advocacy visited them in their palaces in Kefi and Karu, Nasarawa State. The report.
The two traditional rulers of Kefi and Karu in Nasarawa State, Shehu Musa and Luka Panyababa, respectively, while commending the effort of the peace advocacy team, stressed that peace is paramount in every human endeavor. They said on their part, they are doing everything possible to ensure that residents of their domains continue to live in peace with one another, irrespective of their tribe, religion, and political affiliations. They call on people to, as a matter of tolerance to one another, treat issues without sentiment for the sustenance of peace in the society. The monarchs maintain that history has it that farmers and herders were like people of the same family, thereby advise them to remember history and live like before for the benefit of all. This thing you are doing will bring more understanding among herders and farmers, as well as peace in the society. As you said in your speech, farmers and herders are living in peace, but the latest changes in the society bring some misunderstandings. Before now, farmers and herders were very close to each other. Farmers applied fertilizers to get more yield and allow herders to use the waste in the farm. I remember our grandparents, while going to farm, they don't go with food but drink milk from Fulanis. I can remember many Fulanis, even those that live here, when my grandparents were in position of leadership. Right from when we were in Old Town. The peace advocacy team also had interaction with farmers and herders in villages of Gunduma and Gwanjaba, Basa, in Karu, Kefi and Kokona local government areas of the state. We are important of peace, was told by the leader of the team, who is an aide to the Nasarawa State Governor, Khadija Adamu.
We should all love ourselves and be our brothers' keepers. We should try our best to always be on the same page and help one another. God made some people farmers, while others herders. Tracing back to history, if a farmer sees a herder stops at his farm, he becomes happy, and it's the other way round for the herders too. They always wish to help each other because they need one another in terms of food and fertilizer.
Some leaders of herders and farmers who also spoke during the interaction attributed the frequent crisis between farmers and herders to the increase in population, which reduces grazing reserves and farmlands, calling on government to intervene in that regard. Abubakar Abdullahi, Trust TV News, Lafia.
A federal high court in Calabar has dismissed the terrorism, treasonable felony and cybercrime charges against Agba Jalingo. The judge, Ijoma Ojukwu, on Monday dismissed the charges against Jalingo, who is the publisher of an online newspaper, Cross River Watch, after the Cross River State government withdrew the charges against him. Amnesty International in Nigeria had declared the journalist a prisoner of conscience and had accused the Nigerian government of manipulating the nation's justice system against it. The police arrested Jalingo in August 2019 for accusing the Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade of diverting 500 million naira belongings to the state. He was charged for terrorism, treasonable felony, cybercrime, and was incarcerated for about 179 days despite global outrage against the government's action. You're still watching Trust News Updates. Coming up after the break. How rape of teenager by cousin tears family apart. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Trust News Updates. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. In the news, you heard that Kaduna State government has declared a 24-hour curfew in Jama'a and Kaura local government areas following bandits' attack that left 15 people dead and many others injured. You also heard that Kano 4 children kidnapped and taken elsewhere have been reunited with their parents. On health, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency says over 70% of medical drugs being dispensed in Nigeria are substandard. The agency stated this on its website ahead of the Primary Healthcare Summit tagged Reimaging Primary Healthcare in Nigeria. The agency added that the majority of Nigerians did not have access to health services, noting that the country is faced with a number of healthcare challenges. According to the agency, 20% of all maternal deaths globally occur in Nigeria, with infant mortality at a rate of 19 deaths per 1,000 births, while children under 5 are dying at a rate of 128 per 1,000, and over 70% of medical drugs dispensed in Nigeria are substandard. Still talking health, several people have been reported to have contracted measles at various internally displaced persons camps in Benue State. The Executive Secretary of State Emergency Management Agency, Emmanuel Shaw, who confirmed the outbreak to journalists in Makurdi, assured that the government through the Ministry of Health is on top of the situation. Reports say at least 60 people, mostly children above the age of 5, had so far been infected in some of the camps located in Guma local government area of the state, while over 30 people were infected in the Otese IDPs in Guma. The remaining are recorded across the other IDP camps in the state. Doctors Without Borders have expressed disappointment with the little humanitarian responses at the various IDPs in Benue State and lamented the deplorable living conditions of the IDPs at the weekend during a photo exhibition and interaction with journalists in Makurdi to mark the organization's 50th year of providing medical humanitarian aid to people in need across the country. Alleged rape of a 14-year-old orphan, Safara Sani of Maikoni Nasarawa village in Mai Adua local government area of Katsina State, is tearing the family of the victim apart. Victim's family are pointing accusing fingers to her cousins for the rape and her pregnancy. Safara Usani and her mother, Zainab Habu, were also ejected out of her late father's house. The rape case involving members of the same family has seriously affected the lifelong relationship that exists between them. Abdullahi Yamadi has details of the report.
Safara Usani, who is now bearing a child, was a JS3 student in Daura, was raped and impregnated by her cousin brother, Mati, sometimes in 2020. He raped me, and thereafter I was impregnated, and of course I am bearing the child. Mati is responsible for all these problems. He impregnated me. Trauma and poverty pushed Safara'u out of school, as she now seeks the intervention of Human Rights Network of Nigeria and the Association of International Women Lawyers, Katsina State chapters, at least to reduce trauma, stigmatization, and give her 1.5-year-old child, Muazzam, a sense of belonging. Though Safara Usani dragged her suitor Mati to a Sharia court in Daura, the judge advised the parties who are from the same family to settle out of court, as the Sharia court lacks the competence to listen or pass judgment on rape cases. Instead of this advice by the Sharia court judge to serve as a stepping stone towards fostering unity and understanding among the family, the situation further deteriorated, with each party pointing an accusing finger at the other. We have made several attempts to resolve this issue at a family level, but it failed. We tried to get them married. Again, it failed.
From there, we'll take up the issue. We either go and arrest him and then proceed and prosecute him for rape, or if he decides to marry her, then that is all well and fine with us.
We are now trying to go and see Galadima, probably if there is a possibility for she and the Mati that impregnated her. Because from all instances, we noticed that Mati, the man, the suspect, or I can say the one that impregnated the girl, that he paid some money to do the naming ceremony. So that means there is a link already he has accepted.
In another attempt, both the victim Safara Usani, Harandi Siuto Mati, their relatives and the ward heads of Maikoni Nasarawa villages were invited to a meeting by the officials of the two human rights organizations to sort out the problems with a view to ensuring its amicable resolution for justice, fairness, and peace to prevail. After several hours of interfacing, the Randi Siuto Mati admitted to have carnal knowledge of Safara Usani and accepted to continue to take good care as well as the responsibilities of his child, whom he named after Muazzam. You see, I know her. She is my cousin's sister. I willingly take responsibility, and I promise to do all I could to make my child a role model. But I cannot promise marrying Safarau because I don't have anything to marry her now. I don't have the money, so I can't marry her. The confessional statement prompted FIDA and the Human Rights Network of Nigeria Master chapters to document the process for possible legal action. On the issue of ejecting Safara Usani and her mother Zainab Habu from their ancestral home, the ward heads of the communities promised to intervene and review the issues at stake. It could be recalled that rape cases are increasing at an alarming rate in Katsina State, especially in local communities, a situation that calls for a holistic approach by political actors and other stakeholders to save this and future generations from serious calamities. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Cross Television News, Katsina.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja on Monday sacked 20 members of the Cross River State House of Assembly that defected from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress. The court, in a judgment delivered by Justice Taiwo, held that the lawmakers, having abandoned the political party that sponsored them to power, ought to vacate their seats. Following the suit filed by the PDP, Justice Taiwo held that the action of the 5th to the 25th defendants is feeble and constitutes an attempt to pull wool over the eyes of the court, noting that the counter-affidavit is manifestly defective. He therefore granted all the relief sought by the PDP, warning politicians to know that power belongs to the citizens. Concerned parents in Awka, Anambra State want school authorities to de-emphasize flogging children as corporal punishment, but adopt counseling as a means of correcting students. This is coming following the recent deaths of school children who lost their lives as a result of punishment from teachers. Expressing divergent views, some support corporal punishment, while others believe flogging is not the best way to correct children.
And then equally you use it to just make them to be focused in their study. But the basic thing is that bullying is not one of the good method of chastising a student, because it makes them to always scared of the teacher. At the end of the day, they will not be able to pick properly whenever their teacher comes to the class, because they know that any slight mistake, he or she will beat them.
Government should encourage teachers in schools to put some things in order, to tell a child that what you are doing is wrong by putting up a disciplinary measures, punishments, and even beating the child. And like some not encouraging the way most private schools do. They will tell you, don't beat my child. And you don't shout at the child, because at home they will tell you, we don't shout at our children. But we think the federal government will see to it and to be able to encourage the teachers.
Beating is not an option. Beating can never change a child. You don't give a child beating at all. Deny the person privilege. Deny the person some certain things. That's what. Naturally, federal government, schools, now, governments are not doing anything. State government, they are not doing anything. So it's the private school. I don't know how they will be able to control the private school. If what you have you cannot take care of, is it what somebody else have? So federal government should overhaul the educational system and bring, a good system.
You can flog the person, you can flog the kid, like give him like 3 lashes, 4 lashes, or 4 strokes of care. But beating students with grievances. Maybe your wife or your husband you in the house, and you use that annoyance to come to school. It's not acceptable.
On the foreign scene, at least 2 people have died in Sri Lanka while waiting in long fuel queues as widespread shortages and skyrocketing prices cause misery and hardship across the island nation. Police spokesman Nalin Theldua said the men in their 70s died while they were waiting for petrol and kerosene oil in 2 different parts of the country in commercial capital Colombo on Sunday. One was a 70-year-old 3-wheeler driver who was a diabetic and heart patient, while the second was a 72-year-old. Both had been patiently waiting in line for about hours. For weeks, Sri Lankans have been queuing up at pumps, often for hours, as the country battles the worst economic crisis in history as an independent nation, with a lack of foreign exchange to buy vital imports, shrinking the supply of essential goods. Motorists are forced to wait for hours outside filling stations for petrol, and the government has imposed rolling blackouts as power utilities are unable to pay for enough foreign oil to meet demands. And finally, in sports, Super Eagles players have hit the camp on Monday ahead of their 2-legged FIFA World Cup playoff encounter with arch-rivals Ghana. The team's media officer, Babafemi Raji, said William Trust Ekong, Leon Balogun, Semi Ajayi, Ola Aina and Frank Onyeka were among the first to hit the camp of the Eagles. Nigeria will take on Ghana away on Friday, 25th March, with the reverse leg set for the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Tuesday, 29th March. The winner over the 2 legs will earn one of Africa's 5 tickets to the 22nd FIFA World Cup finals, scheduled for 14th November to 18th December this year in Qatar. Meanwhile, the team revealed on its Twitter handle on Sunday evening that Innocent Bonke will replace the injured Wilfred Ndidi in the squad. We've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.